Look, I don't play League, but I kinda wonder what it'd be like if I did. And before you insert your haha funny League is trash jokes, I know what it's like playing MOBAs because I've been in a problematic relationship with his younger sibling for, oh geez, the last 7 years?
Save your questions for my review when I do a review of this game. It hopefully will be out soon.
Liar.
I wonder what it's like to play League because Arcane is the first adaptation of a competitive video game into a non-interactive medium that I'm aware of. Now that comes some interesting, cross-medium narrative conflicts. We've seen non-interactive media adapted into video games before. Just look at the Wii's library. These games are acting upon the assumption that you've seen the original. Kung Fu Panda Legendary Warriors may look like this. But to my 8-year-old brain, it felt like this. Dare I say, it made me feel like the Kung Fu Panda. Then you have games which have these all-star casts from multiple sources bundled into one. Sometimes they are from strictly video games, and sometimes they can be from further afield.
Anubis is still up.
Yeah, we could.
This feels like a time for the robot. Beep, boop, boop.
And it's here I felt the restrictions of competitive video games when trying to make you feel like your favorite character. This is because there's this pesky thing called game balance. AI don't complain on Twitter about how OP Master Shifu is because they literally can't. But if I want to play my favorite greedy dwarf dragon man, I can't stay in my OP dragon form for the whole game because something, it would break the game. I've come to accept that my favorite characters in these games are never the ones that I have a connection to from the original source. You could release the Vinland Saga fighting game tomorrow, and for all I know, I could end up being a Floki main just because he fits my playstyle. And this is where the first of many Kumunka come into play. The reasons for you liking a character can be completely separated from their lore and actual character. Coming into Guilty Gear Strive, I knew I was going to be an Anji main. He has this dance that bypasses attacks, and one of his moves you can spam the living daylights out of. But then I watched the story mode and thought to myself, Anji's kind of naff. So then I tried Nogoriyuki, Ino, Gold Lewis, and then I eventually went back to Anji, because my goodness, isn't he just a joy to play? And this is the main thing. The perception of a character in a video game is dominated by how players interact with said character. And that gameplay and history within the game can be remembered in many different ways by many different people. Bayonetta will never not be tied to her dominance over the metagame in Smash 4. It's a stigma that plagues her to this day, and it's stuck with her in a video game that she's barely played by anyone at all. I could be reading Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase series, and all my hatred for Loki in that series is only compounded by my distaste of him in Smite. And if Jigglypuff in either game or anime is ever seen resting or wearing a green headband, I'll only be thinking of one hungry box. Competitive video games, like all sports, create their own drama, narratives, stories, which is why they are so compelling. But the game developers or directors of your video game's TV show don't get to control this. There is no script written. The competition just happens. So then, to the League of Legends players, how does this affect your enjoyment of Arcane? With a competitive scene that has so much legacy and is still alive, with characters and narratives of its own? Does Vi and Caitlyn synergize well on a comp like they do in Arcane? Is there a pro player that is so tied to a character that you can't really separate them apart? Was one of these characters so broken or so degenerate or so annoying for such a long time that you can no longer look at them in a neutral light? Are there characters that you really like playing but then ended up changing your perspective on them with this new story that they find themselves in? Or can you vanquish your bias and previous dispositions enough to not let that affect you? I'm curious. After all, I don't play League.